Okay, so I'm one of those people who love pumpkin season. And so if you've ever looked into how much sugar is in a pumpkin spice latte, which is amazing, and I used to treat myself to one every year for my birthday because it's October 4th, and so, it's pumpkin season. I'm like, yes. And then I read, like, actually saw how much sugar was in one of those. I think it's even a medium. It's like 75 grams of sugar, which is more sugar than one should have in 2 days. So, at any rate, I'm like, there's got to be better options. So I did look into making my own pumpkin syrup, and I got a recipe from someone, and I think I tweaked it a little bit for my own uses. And so I'm going to be sharing that with you guys at the end of this class, but I want to be able to tell you you can have your pumpkin syrup and be happy with it because it's actually full of really good things for you. So I'm gonna go through and talk about it. I will also, so I add this pumpkin syrup to my mushroom tea, which tastes really great. I add it to my chaga chai, which tastes really great, or just a regular chai. So I like that. And of course, I add it to my own coffee. But yeah, I'm gonna go through all the bits that belong in the or that are in the syrup and talk about their benefits. Um, so one thing I didn't put on here is the benefits of the sugar. I use turbinado or coconut sugar, which of course any sugar is really not the best sugar for you. It's not the best, but those are better sugars. But sugar in this case is actually going to be kind of mellowing out the super drying aspect of the other herbs that are come in pumpkin spice because they're really drying, and sugar is a menstruum of its in itself. Energetically, it is moistening and cooling, so it kind of balances out the heating and drying nature of all the spices that we'll be talking about. Pumpkin does the same thing. In most latte syrups, they actually contain little to no actual pumpkin in them. It's just pumpkin flavoring. But if you use real pumpkin or some organic canned pumpkin, then the flesh is actually a nutrient-rich, anti-inflammatory, um, food that you're eating. Pumpkins are rich in beta carotene, which is an antioxidant, which is helpful for your eye health. They're also high in vitamins A, C, and E, iron, and folate, which is helpful for your immune health. Pumpkin season's right around the corner of everybody getting sick season. So you could think of it as, boosting your immune health. And so that's just in time for cold seasons. It's also high in potassium, which helps with blood pressure. It's a good source of fiber. There's 7 grams per cup. Obviously, you wouldn't be getting that much fiber in some pumpkin syrup, but as a gentle demulcent, it also can soothe inflammation in the GI tract. So yeah, that's the benefits of pumpkin. The other ingredient in there is cinnamon. Cinnamon's helpful for controlling blood sugars post meals. So it's also helpful for kind of helping offset the sugar that is in um, your syrup. So it supports the cardiovascular system. It's been used to lower blood pressure. It's a great digestive aid for gasiness, upset stomachs, nausea, dyspepsia, and many other digestive complaints. It also has some antiviral properties that are helpful for cold and flu season. And then you've got nutmeg. So this is super helpful for complaints of the digestive tract, such as diarrhea, spasms, intestinal mucus, and gasiness. So if it's useful for spasms, that means it's an antispasmodic. If it's useful for gasiness, then that means it's a carminative. Anyway, it can also be helpful for sleep. Generally, you're taking larger amounts of the powder prior to bed, But you would need to be careful with that because too much nutmeg is a hallucinogenic in large doses, and it is not a fun trip. From what I hear, I have not ever, done a nutmeg hallucinogenic trip, but from what I hear for people who have done it, it's not a fun trip, and you would not want to do it, and you can take too much and die from it. So one would not want to try that, in my opinion. But generally, you're using fresh nutmeg to help yourself sleep. And you start out with like half a gram of nutmeg that's been freshly, um, you know, grated into some milk, and try that for sleep if you ever want to try that. Ginger. So ginger is one of my all-time favorite anti-inflammatories for aches and pains. It stimulates the circulatory system, so it's helpful for anyone with varicose veins. It's also helpful for complaints of the digestive tract, such as diarrhea, spasms, intestinal mucus, gassiness, and mainly known for quelling nausea. Um, yeah, and then you have cloves, which is an antiseptic, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral herb, which is all going to be helpful when you're coming into cold and flu season. So it's also used in the same way for digestive complaints such as nutmeg and ginger. And it's one of my favorite anodynes for topical use, particularly on the gums or for cold sores. Since it is antiviral, it can be helpful for cold sores topically too. Allspice is in this recipe too. And again, it's helpful for digestive complaints. It is also moves stagnation, stimulates circulation, supports cold, damp digestive patterns. It's a carminative, so it helps relieve gas and bloating and spasms. It's a stimulant, so it's going to help stimulate your digestive fire, just as the other herbs mentioned would too, because they're warm stimulants. It can help with nausea also. And it also has some eugenol in it, just like clove, which can also be helpful for pain relieving too. So I already talked about the energetics a little bit about this, but the classic warming spices in here, except for the pumpkin and the sugar, are all carminative, antimicrobial, and circulatory stimulants, which are all warming and drying. And then the pumpkin and sugar are moistening and cooling, so they can kind of balance each other out. Plus, most people put milk in there, which is also cooling and can help balance that out too. Here is the syrup, but let me pop into the chat the link to it, which I had saved real quick, but then I moved away from it, so bear with me. But yeah, I'll get you guys that. So while I'm getting that link, does anybody have any questions about what I just said or talked about? Let me put that in the chat. So yeah, you can kind of have your pumpkin syrup and enjoy it too. But you can get the download this recipe card. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was wondering, you mentioned that ginger is good for varicose veins.
Mhm.
Um, can you apply that topically in some way, or just orally, or how can it help?
Yeah, because of its anti-inflammatory and circulatory nature internally, it is helping internally, and you can apply it topically. How you apply it topically is, uh, an issue. You can soak your feet in fresh ginger tea, which is really, really good, and that will help stimulate your feet, your circulation from the bottom up. You can even use dried ginger, but you can make a ginger oil and apply that topically. It's a heating oil. So generally you're using it in topically for like situations where things just aren't flowing well. So, yeah, that's the reason why we would want to be using it. So, if you see somebody who gets blood pooling, then it would be helpful because it's basically acting like an irritant and bringing stimulation to that area. So you could use like too much because it is a heating plant, so it could be too hot, although it's generally not so spicy that it's going to irritate most people's skins. But you would kind of want to play it by ear on how much you would put on your skin by itself. I've never used just ginger oil on my skin, but usually for like varicosities, I mix it with other things. But you could do the ginger foot soaks. So those are super nice and soothing for sore feet at the end of the night, and it's going to stimulate your circulation.
Okay.
Any other questions? Before we end, thanks everybody for coming tonight. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for joining us on this learning journey. Just a friendly heads up. Our teachers at Herba Remedium are here to empower you with knowledge about herbs, healthy habits, good food, movement, rest, and mindset shifts, all in support of your general well-being. We're not doctors and definitely don't diagnose, prescribe, or treat diseases. Our information or evaluations are all about helping you understand your body's unique constitution so you can support it naturally by bringing it back into balance, not medical treatment. We'll never tell you to ditch your doctor or meds, so please don't. And any health decisions you make are yours and yours alone. Our role, educators and encouragers. Everything shared here comes from a place of love of herbs and healthy habits and of learning all these things, and the belief that true healing happens when we support the body in doing what God made it to do. Thanks again.